So one of ours, Obiajulu Ugboh, was wrongfully accused as fake news, on a fake news post that was going around on social media, where her husband was alleged to have been related or to be the person on the video about a man who purportedly tried to hijack a plane. Now, sadly, this matter went viral where people have been reposting and sharing, saying that the man on the plane at Ugboh Air, his wife works at TVC. And many said, oh, her real name is Obiajulu Ugboh. But the name they had initially put was Lilian Ugboh.
Lilian
Obiajulu.
Yes.
Now, this has gone viral. And of course, Ugboh Air has also sent in a press release about what happened. And it's quite sad to see the length in which this video went viral. Let me start with BC, your thoughts when you saw the video and how it all happened in your own end.
Okay, so after you called me, I had to go on social media to find out exactly what was happening. And I saw the first person who started trending this post, HOD Department for Papa Chukwudi, who posted it and said, this is Mrs. Lilian Obiajulu, the Ugboh Airline APC propaganda actor. She previously worked for Inspiration FM and Wazobia FM. She's currently working with TVC. Now put up my picture and another woman's picture as one person. And so when I scrolled down and saw the remaining part, people were saying, we know this person now. She can't be. Are you not seeing that it's just first name relation? There's no, she's an Ugboh. This one is Uja. So if she had to be the man's wife, it would be Mrs. Uja, not Mrs. Ugboh, you know. But it kept trending. So I had to do not a repost. I had to rejoin on that person's account and asked him to take it down or I would sue him. But after he took it, I think he took it down, I went online again. People kept sending me links of different people, different names. I'm getting all of them. I'm going to mention the ones that I saw. There were so many of them. People were calling me. And finally, Nairaland posted it. Somebody sent me a link yesterday, and I saw Nairaland posting the same story and saying, I want to quote exactly what they had here. Ugboh Air actor's wife, Obiajulu Ugboh, working for TVC. And went ahead and posted an interview I did in 2017 with the Nation newspaper as an artist. They interviewed me as a rapper because I was promoting my work at the time. And said at some point that the Nation newspaper glorified her.
On Nairaland.
On Nairaland.
They are trying to...
So
they are building...
the Nairaland guy will be meeting me in court.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that is fake news.
Absolutely.
That's another one.
Absolutely.
So some other persons, I want to get all of their names here.
While you're putting that, let me just remind people what this is about. So the man in the plane stood in between the passenger seat. This is a man that the Mr. Obiajulu Uja himself stood in the plane in the middle of the aircraft and could be heard threatening that Tinubu must not be sworn in as the Nigerian president next month. These were, okay, the clips are now being shown on your screen because this is one of the issues we're going to be discussing concerning fake news has become the order of the day, where because a group of people are trying to manage a crisis, you have somebody, you're trying to manage a crisis, the easiest thing is to find an innocent person
and accuse
that person of being the one who actually orchestrated this embarrassment, a national embarrassment. However, let me come back to you, BC.
Yes. So Chinedu Asinu and Nosike on Facebook also posted the same thing from Zandi Nnamdi laptops. Now, somebody sent me another link because people kept tagging me to different things of the lady who went on...
Okay, I think
yes, I have my name here. Ndikato. Went on Rice TV,
okay,
yes, and was saying that they have traced, the obedient have gone to trace the person. They have found that the wife works in a TV station. She too will face me in court because she has to mention the TV station and mention the name of the wife. If actually they had found the person, Mr. Uja's wife, she'll be bearing Mrs. Uja and not Mrs. Obiajulu. Obiajulu is not my surname. I am Obiajulu or Labisi Ugboh. Yes. So it was very unfortunate that somebody was deliberate about tarnishing my image. And I'm giving Nairaland 3 hours before this show ends
Yeah.
to take down that news.
Yeah.
Because anytime you click my name for posterity's sake, you're going to see that
Absolutely.
news. And nobody wants to ask you, after a few hours and a few days, nobody would ask you if it's true or not. If they don't take it down, they will meet me in court.
Absolutely.
You don't do that to somebody. And if they had done simple research, it just takes research to go and verify the news. Okay, this person and this person, do they relate?
But
the woman that they claimed was myself, that's the other woman's picture, is actually Lillian Obiajulu. Her surname as well. It's not even an Uja. So it's possible that's also another fake thing. Because you want to pass the buck. You want to run away from your responsibility.
It's called crisis management.
Exactly. You don't want to take you don't want to be accountable to what your mess up.
Yes.
That's the truth. You don't want to be accountable to your mess up. So you just find somebody, an easy scapegoat, and rub the person in. I'm ready for you guys. I'm taking you guys to court.
Simple,
You will
don't
meet
worry.
me there,
We'll get
and
you.
you will tell me how I married another man and I did not tell my husband.
We'll try to get, I tried to call Mr. Femi Falana, but maybe he's not picking, right? His phone is switched off. We have to find you a proper lawyer that's going to get, because this matter, we are taking it all the way.
I'm taking it
Even me, if you change your mind halfway, me, I will push you. This one we must take it to the end.
Naira land.
And secondly, you see, what even was more hurtful? The effrontery, the temerity, the audacity for somebody to go on the news on national TV and speak confidently, saying that even obedience have gone to go and research.
Trace it.
They've traced it.
Can we address
how do you say,
this
how do you,
obedience?
So I don't want us to focus on that.
No, please allow me. Please allow me.
I'll allow you. Let me just land this point.
Okay.
Is that the issue we're talking about? So it means that if you can confidently come out and push this narrative, how many narratives like that
have you pushed
in the past that is total false and false that you try to make and then make go viral to focus and to derail from the real focus of the facts?
You see, indicator, for instance, I want to address a serious issue here. So the pushing out of a single-side story where you only hear yourself, you don't want to hear the other side, and the imbalance is why we got here.
Yes.
A woman of that caliber shouldn't sit on TV or something she hasn't verified and said, "You're obedient." Name a group of people you don't know their house address. When you say obedient, you just jump on a bandwagon to trend. And that's why we got here. That's why that man went mental on an airplane, embarrassed his entire generation.
Honestly.
To that point. And we are not addressing how mentally this thing has affected a lot of people. Why somebody will say, okay, let me just match that Obiajulu woman. Now her son name match her. And let me push it. Because there are a group of people who don't want to hear another side. Anywhere in the world. So, they don't want to hear, they don't have the objectivity of another side. So let me put Obiajulu, she works with TVC, and push that story. If you made a mistake, you would have grabbed him, find a way to banter him, find his house address, his grandmother's name. That's why we say regulate social media.
No, I have all this.
It is like opening a company with the CAC. Absolutely. You have an address. It is actionable. That carries a fine for you to move your office address, your head office address with the CAC without notifying the CAC. So that when you go and goof and do fraud, they will find you. Exactly. If you want to insult somebody's name and husband and use it to trend, let us know your office. Yes. So that we can come and visit you.
No, we don't
irresponsible reportage.
Don't buy market.
Because they like to trend.
Yes.
This bandwagon of people who have followed this one-sided narrative for so long, they are a group of popular, and their numbers are huge. You want to jump on that number, trend for your blogs, for your whatever, so at anybody's cost. This is anybody's
cost.
January 1, 2021, I was sitting on the show. We had the first show here. No, I did not think that at the end of the show, my child would be called for death. It happened on this show.
Oh, yes.
One idiot blogger from nowhere thought it was okay to just trend and say this woman let her child die and put my picture on it. It took a BBC reporter to clear that thing. People don't do important work anymore. No. They just want to find small work and do. And we got the worst of it during this election. And because even if there's another side of it, once one person is pushing it online, everybody just... And you see that they have up to 5,000 likes. Jump there.
To make it worse, these people are being enabled by a national television.
Yes.
So they'll bring them, they'll give you a national platform to propagate, to spew new fake news. They will now, a national platform will give you their own page to come and speak lies
on something that you cannot verify.
And then they'll say, oh, they are the most objective. But how?
Just because they have the numbers.
That's how they get the numbers.
Numbers.
You put out fake news
out there.
put out fake news out there,
Let
and
it
then you get the
gain
numbers, people follow you, and that's, oh, that's the most objective.
People who cannot think.
People can't think. Have people...
It's just a simple, Google away. Just click on it and see, check the history of the person.
Why should
let me come to you, Mariam,
okay.
your thoughts on it.
They don't need to do that. If they do that, then how would they trend? If they do that, how would they wear the crown of we are the most followed, or we are the most listened to, or we are the most watched? You have carried, you have decided to be the face of anything that is fake, dangerous news, just because you want to trend. I mean, I'm so embarrassed for you. I'm so embarrassed for the person that, the indicator. I'm embarrassed for Nairaland. I'm embarrassed for the TV station that she sat down. I'm embarrassed for those presenters that sat down with her and encouraged her to say that sort of thing. How would you look at yourselves now? The audacity of the lie. You know, people realize that there's no repercussion for these things. And so that's why they can sit down together and then push narratives that not only is it false, but it's dangerous.
There's a repercussion.
What do you expect? Already, these are a group of people who feel, you know, a certain way, who feel that there's a group of people that are against them. Then you single out one person that they can point at and say, you have done this. And you, as a TV station, you are giving them the platform to do that, and you're happy with yourselves? What sort of, I mean, who put these people together? Who gave them jobs?
I don't know.
On TV?
I don't
How can
know.
you be so reckless and irresponsible and unprofessional?
And yet to say
I know you're asking for the post to just be put down. It's not just
apology.
put down.
No, apology.
We want an apology. We demand an apology.
Yes.
And really, you know, going forward, NBC should do a better job about this particular station. Let's look at what they are doing. Let's look at what they are doing, the kind of guests that they are bringing on. What is this?
Nonsense.
So we need, so let's be clear, because we're going to start opening our phone lines, but let's be clear what we want.
Okay.
We want that thing to be pulled down by Nairaland.
Yes.
We want Nairaland to issue an apology.
Yes.
We want India Ikato herself to apologize because she went, although she didn't mention the person.
No, she didn't tell us the person they uncovered.
Okay, she can tell us the person she uncovered.
Yes.
Can we calm down, please? This is not the platform for what we want. This is just ranting.
We are just venting
when you
now.
meet your lawyer, you will know what you want.
That's true.
I'm telling you, you'll be well
equipped
and compensated with what you want.
Okay.
So until you talk to your lawyer, don't talk here.
Okay.
The truth is, the NBC have done their job over time.
Yes.
More responsible TV stations have gotten fined. We got fined.
Yes.
Other stations have gotten fined for the kind of guests they bring on. This station too should get fined. So let your lawyer come on before you do anything. Go further.
So to continue our conversation, we'll be inviting Dr. Charles Omole, is a lawyer in security and public policy expert, who will be joining us. But I'm told that I'm told that the connection is not ready, so we'll be with him in a moment. But before we get to Dr. Omole, let me come to you. You're going to see.
So I was going to say that for the issue of Nairaland, which was I said we should wait for business lawyers, is that the credibility of your platform to such a fake, unverified news is that I sat in my house, 2 essays from Lagos and Osun sent me this video believing that it was true. And in defamation, one of the strongest things is that, you know, the publications continue.
Yes.
So even though the idiot that made it up are taking it down, sorry, you know me, I'm a direct person, are taking it down, some credible platforms like Nairaland, Arise News.
I can hear you, so we can. Okay. If you can hear me perfectly.
Go ahead.
Arise News will give their platform to give credibility to a lie and then further damage business reputation. So it's beyond take it down, apologize. It's beyond that. You need to make deterrent this situation.
Yes.
You need to make it. I was unable to find the blogger who took my story. I had to find a way. Somebody had to pay him money into his account, just lose money for him to, because he opened that and we used his account. And because I invaded certain platforms, I couldn't push it further because the bank can't become.
You know what you're saying that, as I was telling you during the break, I didn't realize the gravity of that. I think it's also part of the issue that in the beginning, when people were clamoring for social media regulations, at that time, we didn't understand the gravity.
It wasn't clicking.
It wasn't clicking them. But gradually now, as we are all now somewhat being affected directly and indirectly, we are seeing the importance of doing a proper regulation of this.
I have always been on the stand to regulate.
Yes.
I do not understand how you can do something from an hidden place. This thing anonymous. If you don't believe in it, you can't put your face to it. Don't do it, because you can destroy lives. You know that this hatred pushed on social media can lead to suicide. it has led to it. We've seen people in this, in media entertainers, we've seen them at that point, destroyed, depressed because of this kind of things. And some people just enjoy it. Recently, Davido had an interview where he mentioned the incidents that affected him. Come and see comments. Just yesterday, somebody who is grieving, it cannot be collected. I don't know how grief is for everybody, but I am still grieving since 2020. I've not gotten over it. So I don't know how it can be collected, but Nigerians will come and they will have the opportunity to put such hate and something that can be so destructive.
Let me take this call from Shola. He's calling from Ikorodu. Good morning, Shola. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Mariah.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, please, I actually want to talk about this Obiajulu matter. It's very, very quite unfortunate, and we're very sorry about that. But the truth is that this thing is pointing out some facts that so many people don't believe it exists in Nigeria. You know, so many fake news, so many fake videos was posted out against Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I thank God that facts are coming out right now. And one other thing I want to mention is that if I have my way, even if Obiajulu and you, Morayo, you want to relent on this matter and this case, I'm not going to agree with that. Those people, whether they apologize or not, these people must be brought to book. Absolutely. Even Arise TV as a station, they must be brought to book. Please, let's follow this thing. We can organize groups to pursue this matter to the latter end. Please, let's do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shola. Go ahead.
So, you know, when this sort of thing happens, when you are not the one at the receiving end, we always feel like, okay, it will pass. But we are in a world where nothing is forgotten on social media.
Absolutely.
I am someone who is a woman of many parts. I do my businesses on social media. I'm a life coach. I am an artist. I'm an actor. I have businesses that I run aside from being on TV. So when you click my name tomorrow, you want to do business with me, this is what you're going to see. Even if you take down this one, take it down first though, but we will still see in court. Because this has to stop. And you have just touched the wrongest person. Because I was sitting down, my husband is naturally a very quiet person. He was sitting in his bedroom. How do you pair that man's picture and pair my husband and say they look alike?
Mischief.
How? If you are not a person in the first place, how do you do that? How do you pick my first name and pick his first name and tie it together? Am I Mrs. Obiajulu? Or am I Mrs. Uja? How? A Google away would have just told you what you needed to know. But it was obvious that people wanted to pick on me.
Deliberately.
And they looked round and they decided to pick on me.
Yes. They don't need to tie it because they're really
They were trying to tie it to TVC and APC.
Yes. Can we play Indicator?
Thank you, you have said it.
Can we play Indicator's interview?
Yes.
Instead of saying some of us are actually very stupid, but this is not what we're promoting. And then find a way to dismiss it. Then you want to tie it to somebody and you're tying it to somebody who's not even affiliated. I don't know that man.
I have the video from Indicator.
Let me take
I have the video from Indicator. I wish the producers would post it so that you will see the mischief, deliberate one. Obedience have gone to do their research. That was her word.
Yes.
And they have found that the lady in question works with a TV station, clearly being mischievous, referring to the post, are taking advantage of a lie, even though just to escape anything, irresponsible at the height of it. I am one who says things on the table, and when you come out, I say, Mola, leave it. I say with my full chest, I can back it. I know what I'm saying. If you cannot back it, hands off.
Yes.
If it is an embarrassment that has happened because of it, own it and talk about
apologize.
It. Which one is there? So, is one person's fault? Is one person's fault? Okay, let's even assume the Obiajulu Uja man was married. Was his wife on that flight? Thank you. I don't get it.
Let me take this
Somebody
call.
Somebody embarrassed himself alone by himself.
And
you are dragging another person inside.
Idowu from Ibadan, you're live. Thanks for calling.
You, ladies, my name is Idowu.
Yes, you're live.
And I'm calling from Ibadan.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, Obiajulu. I can imagine what you've gone through. I was just, I think I came back from church yesterday and I decided to, for want of anything to do, and I saw the thing on Twitter. And my first reaction was, why will this lady's husband go and get herself involved in this thing? I don't even know I don't even know Obiajulu's full name. But I had to go all through her social media thing. And I saw, this picture does not look like the picture they are posting here now. I'm a 63-year-old man. I don't do social media much, but I was actually worried. So I can imagine the trauma your husband must have gone through, because I could imagine if it was my wife. This thing,
yes,
I don't know. But I think for all that it is worth, you should follow this thing up to the end.
Absolutely.
For all that, I don't know you, but go and see. I had to start searching for all through your social media things and all yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. Ido. Mariam, let me jump in here.
Yes, me, I don't talk much, really. There's something.
You've been traumatized by this whole thing.
No, it's not even.
I'm traumatized.
No, for me, it's just the audacity. Yeah. The audacity of institutions to do something like that and not be afraid of what the repercussions will be. And, I blame us all in one way or the other. We feed this beast. Yes. Today is someone else, the other is another person. You're reading, you're consuming it, you're sharing it. And, people who do it are emboldened by this. And tomorrow when it's your own turn, you feel upset. I have never, I didn't even get to see this story until much later at night. Because as I told you, I tried to just get off social media. Yesterday was my husband's birthday. I was completely off social media. And then when I saw it, I started laughing because I did not realize what had gone widespread. Because what I thought was someone tried to do it and everybody saw it for the stupidity that it was and laughed at it. But to hear the sort of people that have engaged this story and have pushed it on and and have spreading it all around. And I'm saying, who are we today? What sort of people are we? What exactly is it that we're looking for? It was not a mistake, like you have said. It was deliberately mischievous. Yeah. Let us look for who to blame for this. It is not us. We did not do it. But you see those people, it must be them. Let's find different ways to make it about them. Yeah. See, I didn't want to have to call the name obedience, but let me just say this, just for this conversation. That lady that went on TV, was she speaking for Labour Party? Was she speaking for Mr. Obi, or was she speaking for obedience? And who are obedience? Are they a group, a registered group of people? Do you know them? What is the criteria of being in that group? Who is their leader? Who talks to them? Who makes sure that there's a code of conduct or for behavior? And then you come here and then you're speaking for people that you know, that she obviously knows nobody. She doesn't know them. You just call them obedient. There are people very close to me that we talk about, elections and everything. They voted Obi, and they voted him with his full chest, but they refuse to be called obedient. Yes. There are some people who did not vote Obi. Let me tell you, maybe you don't know, but they are on social media claiming to be obedient. Exactly. So who are these people that you're speaking about, and they are holding your chair and said they did investigation? And they researched. They did an investigation. Yes. Did you sit with them? Did you see the papers of the investigation? Who are they? Are they investigators? Are they police? The security apparatus? Yes. Nothing. And you just come there and you put yourself on that kind of international platform and do that to yourself. Oh, jeez. Please. So I
have to go on a break. We're still discussing the fake news that went viral, alleging that our own Obiajulu Ugboh's husband was the madman on the plane of Ibom Air who was trying to hijack the plane. Let me take a few comments on social media before bringing our guests very quickly.
Yeah, so this guy is trolling me on air, on Instagram, Godspeed7571. He says, leave her until APC begin to take legal action on her and her husband. I urge TVC News to suspend her. Suspend me, that's what happened. That you people married another husband for me that I'm not aware of. Went ahead to say, check Tunde Ednot's post and see how you and your husband are being accused. Don't take legal action. Be there shining teeth.
So Tunde Ednot's show is also part of this suit?
No, he posted the interview on Arise. Yes, that was posted on his page. Yes,
and he can also be a party auntie.
Everybody. Auntie, they drag everybody. They go.
All the people, every platform that publish information. In fact, somebody said a tweet.
Bring in our guest. Okay. Welcome, Dr. Omole. Good to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Omole is a lawyer and a security and public policy expert who will be joining us from our Abuja studio. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies.
Sorry, we wanted to just lament and, speak on how this really affected us. But it's always important to bring in the more serious aspect of the legal part of it. What are your own general thoughts on this? And what do you think the next step should be to stop and reduce this prevalence of fake news on social media?
Well, I mean, the first thing to understand is that fake news has three dimensions to it. There are three types of fake news. And I think we need to make a distinction between those three to fully understand the damage that this can do. The first type of fake news is an outright lie. If Morai or somebody puts in news that you are in London this morning, you know, shopping on Oxford Street, that's an outright lie because we know you are in Nigeria. So that's an example of an outright lie fake news. The second category of fake news is when you take something that is true and then you add falsehood to it and give it a completely different narrative. I mean, for example, you went to an hotel to drop something for a friend, and somebody now says, oh, Mariah was in this hotel and she spent 3 days there. Now, clearly you are in the hotel, that bit of the news is correct, but you only spent 5 minutes, not 3 days. So they will take an element that is true, possibly even have your picture entering the hotel, and then add falsehood to it, and then they create a completely different narrative. That's the second type of fake news. The third type of fake news is when actually the facts are correct, but the narrative is wrong. For example, you went to an hotel with your husband, you spent 2 days there, and then the news come and say, oh, she was in an hotel with a boyfriend, you spent 2 days there. Now, the facts are correct, but the narrative is wrong. Now, the difficulty here is, at least, and this is a global phenomenon, not just Nigeria. The difficulty here is, once an element of a false story is found to be true, most people will just believe it. So if, for example, a picture was shown of you entering the hotel, everything else is irrelevant. People will believe it. And that is why we need, all over the world, you can't really use prosecution as the only tool for dealing with this. Because when you have something that is at an epidemic level, like we have it in Nigeria, how many people will you prosecute? How many people will you throw into jail? We have the laws, and that's very clear. Section 59 of the Criminal Code, Section 24 of the Cyber Crimes Act, they both make it clear, make it unlawful to share fake news or falsehood. So the issue is not whether we have a laws to deal with it or not. We do. But the best approach here is actually education. And what they did in Singapore to deal with something like this is they established what they call a strategy, what they call a SURE strategy. SURE means S-U-R-E. So in other words, when you get a piece of news, the S stands for source. So the first thing you need to check is what is the source of this news? Somebody just announced that a particular governor is dead, for example, and you check the handle, and you find that the person has only 10 followers on Twitter. So you have to ask yourself, will somebody who has 10 followers on Twitter be in a position to break that kind of news? So you have to check the source, of the news. Then the U stands for understand. You have to understand what actually the person is trying to convey, both by the way it is said, what is not said. And then the R stands for research. It means that I will research the news further. So did you check all the main news channels? Are they featuring the same news? I mean, think about it. If there's a major news like, God forbid, a governor dying, it won't be somebody with 10 followers that will break that kind of news. When no other reliable news channel is carrying it. So you research to find out the fact. And when you do your research, you will find out a lot of falsehood very easily. And then, of course, the E of the show stands for evaluate. In other words, evaluate the news. Does it even make sense? I mean, a very good example is this thing that came out on social media, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about the Chief Justice of Nigeria going to London to meet with the President-elect. because they want to have the clandestine meeting. Then the question, if you evaluate, you ask yourself, these people have thousands of houses in Abuja, they can meet easily without anybody knowing. Why would you have to travel to London for a 10-minute meeting when you can easily have it secretly anywhere in Abuja?
Right.
So if you evaluate the news, you actually see the logicality of what is being propagated. So education, I think, is a best way to deal with this. Prosecution, when necessary, to serve as deterrent.
Yes.
And I think the prosecution should be focused on what I call trendsetters and influencers who peddle fake news. That will achieve more effect than just prosecuting the anonymous people spreading fake news.
Let me get a few more questions in for you.
So, sir, when somebody comes without necessarily mentioning directly a name, but takes advantage of this circumstance, like the case we're dealing with here, and then gives credibility to it by saying some people have researched and confirmed that story without, necessarily confirming, just going with the fake news and saying some people have confirmed and researched and confirmed it. Does this fall under any of the categories you listed just now?
Well, I mean, I think the legal test really in that circumstance is, would it be that obvious who is being referred to?
Thank you, sir.
If it's a reasonableness test, if it will be that obvious who is being referred to. I mean, if you, for example, say somebody just won, or somebody just been declared the president in Nigeria, president-elect in Nigeria, and you make a falsehood about it. Fine, you don't mention any name. Anyone reading that story knows who you are talking about.
Yeah.
Or somebody comes and says, oh, there's a lady that leads a morning show on TBC Monday to Friday around this time. Fine, no name has been mentioned, but everybody will know who the person they're talking about is. So it's a question of whether it's easy to decipher who it is they're talking about. If it is, then that can't fall under the crime. Yes. Okay. But if your understanding of it is based on your own peculiar information, then that means the bulk of the general public will not know who they're talking about, and that may be termed different.
All right, let me get it correct.
Okay, so I happen to be a victim of this fake news, sitting down in my house one cool Sunday evening, enjoying my suya, where my name was going round on social media on something I know nothing of. And I was very appalled because the said man in question, Mr. Obiajulu Uja, was handcuffed as at the time I saw the pictures that they sent there, and he was going to be arraigned in court according to the Tribune this morning. So if people are not deliberately trying to malign my character and defame me, is it not obvious that they can easily go to the court and correspond if it's actually my husband that is there? So please, what is the line of, what's the first line of seeking redress? Because I'm taking this up.
Well, I mean, yes, you always have the option of taking people to court. I mean, the challenge again in Nigeria is not just the cost, but the sheer length of time it takes to prosecute. And sometimes, therefore, a lot of people feel the game is not worth the candle, so to speak. If you have to spend 4 or 5 years prosecuting a case and spend millions of your money, by the time you finish the case, lots of people will not even remember the story. So a lot of people end up not just prosecuting, not because they cannot, but just they just feel it's not worth it. Sometimes also a decision can be made that prosecution could actually give more oxygen to the news. So a news that probably will die down. Nigeria is a place where things, people move on very quickly. By next week, something else will be out there. They won't even remember what happened last week. So the challenge is it worth doing? Oh, yeah. But in terms of, I was listening earlier, in terms of the continuous impact of falsehood and fake news, especially on social media and on the internet, what was done in the EU, which I think Nigeria can easily legislate for, is they have this right to be forgotten. against Google and all the social media and search engines.
Okay.
Because what was happening is, if you are charged for a major crime, say 10 years ago, you are accused of a major crime 10 years ago, you are found to be innocent, you are not charged. If somebody searches your name today, they will still find that news 10 years ago. And then the EU decided that you now have a right to be forgotten, which means references to things that legally did not happen are to be removed completely by Google. So there might be a Nigerian version to say, if falsehood is established, it's not from the perspective of prosecution.
Right.
But if falsehood is established, then you have a right to write to the social media platform or Google itself, and references to you as relates to that particular falsehood must be removed from the social media, must be removed from the internet. That way, any future search of your name will not bring those things up.
Right.
That's already the case in Europe, and I think it can easily be applied here.
All right, so one of the challenges of the ethos of journalism is the fact that everybody wants to be the first to break the news. So the issue we have here also, somebody feels they've matched something up and they want to be the first to break it and say, yes, I was going to put it out there that it was a TVC presenter's husband, because that's how you get all to following. So following now is a currency in today's journalism, where the more followers you get, the more popularity you have. So that can in that situation, can that matter be also referenced in courts, where we see that it was just a need to be the first to break? Well, is that a problem we can find a resolution to within the laws?
Well, I mean, in that particular specific circumstance, I mean, I don't think, the law will really deal with whether you are doing it as breaking news. Falsehood is falsehood, and intent matters. But I think in the circumstance you have mentioned, there are immediate problems. For example, if you are known for peddling fake news, you lose credibility. There are people on social media, on Twitter, for example, that the people know that this handle peddle fake news. So when they bring out any news, most reasonable people will just ignore it. So you lose credibility instantly if you are known for peddling fake news, in that sense. But in terms of the citizenry, I think what part of education we need in Nigeria is people need to be encouraged to be nuanced and be interested in detail.
Yes.
Because of this thing called clickbait.
Yeah.
You have a situation where you see an headline on social media, and when you read the story doesn't gel with the headline. So clearly the headline was written for the purpose of you clicking, and those people making money. Every time you click, traffic goes to that site, and they are paid. So the fact that the story below it doesn't agree with the headline is a different story. But many Nigerians on social media will see headline and will start commenting based on the headline. Right. And from their comment, you can see that these people have not read the story, because the story is different from the headline. So there are financial incentives for peddling all these things, but I think Nigerians need to be more sophisticated by looking more into the detail of these things and not just be bothered by the headline.
But sir, the gravity of this, I think, is much more than we're talking, because the president-elect almost lost the presidency because of this fake news. Because we saw a lot of narratives on social media about this person, how sick he was, how he cannot move, he cannot talk, people doctoring things he's saying. These are things that could have cost one man a whole position as president, for the presidency. So do you think our laws are taking enough, we're taking it as aggressive as we should in the law, in the courts, or is the National Assembly? Have the legislator addressed this issue of cyberbullying, this issue of fake news, this issue of hate speech? Do we have enough laws that we can actually begin to prosecute these peddlers of fake news on social media?
Well, I mean, I don't think this is a law, a situation where National Assembly needs to create law. The laws already exist. I think this is matter for the prosecutors. For example, in the United Kingdom, the Crown Prosecution Service have certain tests they use to determine whether a case should go to court or not. One of those tests ask the question, is it in the public interest to prosecute this case? If the answer is yes, it helps. It's one of the questions, tests that we have to pass. So in this case, the prosecution authorities could say, you know what, we want to spend 1 year targeting fake news. In other words, we prosecute aggressively because as a matter of public policy, we feel it is in the public interest to prosecute as many of these cases as possible. And by the time you have 1 dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen prosecutions, people will sit up. So it's not a question of new laws, it's a question of the authority making a public policy-induced decision to say we are going to put magnifying lens on fake news. Right. And we will prosecute as many people as possible that fall into that category. Right. If that happens over a year, for example, trust me, the environment will change. People will now see that they cannot get away with it, very easily. Right now, people feel they can sit in their bedroom and create any story they like on social media, and people will believe it. Right. And that clearly must stop. Right. There has to be consequences.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles Omole. I'll let you leave at this time, but thank you for shedding light on this matter. Dr. Omole is a lawyer, security, and public policy expert who's been helping us understand better how to go about this issue of fake news. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning. Pisa, anyone wanted to jump in?
Yes, so I believe that evil thrives because good men keep quiet. Yeah. And one of the reasons why it seems like Nigeria is a lawless country is because people who have the opportunity and the power to do something we just feel, well, I don't want wahala. I don't have time. I don't want to stress myself. I don't want to wait 5 years, 10 years for judgment to come. Let me just leave them to God. Exactly. But we all can't leave them to God, right? We all can't suspend our lives, especially on something that you're not even guilty of, because you want to leave them to God. I believe that God has given me the power to fight some battles. There are some battles I will fight physically and fight on my knees. So all the prayer and meditation I've been doing, maybe that one is not working. I need to add the physical one, right? And so I'm not afraid to go the long haul. I'm a young person. I have years, by the grace of God. I'm not planning to die today, except, of course, I don't know. But I still have a long time to wait. I still have the years to say, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to go through this, and I'll see the judgment at the end of the day. So that next time, you as a blogger, that you're still struggling, you want to quickly hammer, you want to quickly have people who would jump on your, and give you all the massive following that you want. You will verify your news before you post it. If I let this slide, tomorrow it will be somebody who do not have the means to go to court. And they will think this is how Nigeria is. When it happens to me, it happens to me. Maybe God will stand up someday and save me. But if I do this, I will be saving a lot more people in the future, so that this kind of thing does not happen to them. So I'm willing to pay this price right now to save a lot more people in the future. So they should wait for me, I'm coming.
You have the capacity to do it, and you can do it. Fantastic. Let me take this call and come to you, Mariam. Yakub, welcome to the show. Good seeing you on Saturday. Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to Samurai and then everyone in the studio. Good morning. Let me begin by saying I really thank God that I participate in that work service. And then let me say, Mario, personally, I thank to you as well, because for you to notice me in the midst of a lot of people, that day, I don't know, I never thought that anything that you are doing in life, don't do it because you love to do it. That day, I feel honor, I feel great, I feel happy. Because in the midst of a lot of people were like, who is Yaku? I was like, wow. So what I'm doing is it means a lot to a lot of people. And then I really just thank God Almighty Allah. And then I also thank you people, you guys should keep going. But I'm saying that, Morayo, you see, this thing that we are discussing this morning, the arrest history, I'm sorry for mentioning their names. Some of us knew them. I don't even watch them anymore. Because even it is not even Obiajulu alone. If you know a lot of damage, that very particular station has done a lot of people. I don't know what this NBC is doing. Because all these ordinary fines, it is not enough. It is not enough because they will keep doing it. And then Obiajulu, please, don't step down. Get a very good lawyer, especially like Mr. Falano, because that guy is the person I believe that can take it off. So the logical conclusion, because they will continue to do that. Because this is barbaric, this is absurd. Good morning, God bless you.
Thank you very much. We have, yeah, go ahead.
I have a few. Yes, I just wanted to say, there are many things that we've done on this table that I've been proud of, and there's some, I would talk about two in particular because they're the most recent. And these are things that we do behind the scenes. And sometimes, as viewers or followers, you just never understand. Towards the elections, we had people come from different parties to our table. And I remember one of the things Mariah was very, that she pushed was, we have to be decent. They should not come to our table to think that we're attacking them. Let us give them a platform so that they can feel free and express. We had Jandor, he was the candidate for PDP. And we had people who were calling and itching to call because of some story about this TV station he used to own and allegations of, things about payment of salary and the way he carried himself during that time. And we said that this was not the time. This is the time for the person to come and talk about, his dreams and his aspirations. And already we had this thing over our heads, which is we are for a certain person or for a certain party. So we were decent. And after that interview, I got not 2, not 3 messages commending us for how decent we were with him. Yeah. And I felt so proud of us because it was not about the followership and the bars and the goals. Yes. It was about decency. Decent conversation. And even he, if he's willing and if he's decent enough, he would acknowledge too on that day.
The Bible guy was here too.
Yeah, how he felt here. We allowed him to be himself. So it's not, that's why for me, the bloggers are the bloggers. We know, it's just like magazines. You have tabloids, you have real magazines and newspapers you go to. But when a TV station is part of it and is building its fame and its followership on that sort of news, it worries me for Nigeria today. We talked, the second thing is that we remember this cashless policy. From the get-go, we called it out. Yes. Some people thought it was an agenda, and because of followership as well, they pushed the second agenda. And now when the whole thing came, someone made a post and said, to the other party, says, we will remember the part that you played. And I remember telling, I said, I felt so proud of us. We were called out. We were insulted. We were not followed. We were called all sorts of things. But the truth prevailed. Yes. And I'm happy to be part of people that understand that decency and honesty above followership and trending.
Let that take that for a second. Thank you. God bless you. Let me take this call. Lekki and Mr. Hassan from Lekki. Go ahead, you're live. Okay. You're laughing.
Yeah, I laugh. I laugh. And I will continue to laugh.
Yes.
Look, let me tell you what. You see, these people of this opposition, I don't want to mention their name. They are delusional. Delusional is a psychotic moment. You understand? So whenever something is happening, you see them defending it a force. And you see them even defending what they know they are wrong on. This time around, they did it to one person that has a kind of sympathy for them, which is very, very wrong. Immediately, that's what misbehaved on the flight. They started saying it was sponsored by AP. A lawyer went to defend him by saying that this guy is mentally ill. They should release him for treatment at police clinic and what have you. That shows the kind of people they are. They have serious problems, and it is good for her to follow it up so that it will serve as a deterrent to anybody in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Something Mariam said and that struck me, which I think is so important for us to mention, is that on this table, I remember that during elections, we're quite objective. And I remember I was saying clearly that what can LP do to consolidate on this treasure they've gotten, where you have millions of followers who voted for your candidate? It's time for you to consolidate. It's time for you to begin to sustain that momentum. We try to be as objective on this station. We spoke for the various parties and all the hard work they did to get the numbers, unprecedented numbers across for these last elections. So it's the same thing that this platform has tried really hard to be as objective as possible, yet we don't see that. because it's TV. The moment because it's
what they
TVC,
want to hear now.
it's only what they want to hear in their mind. They accept. So it's so painful. The hard of work. So right now, for an indicator to say that obedience, she was her exact words, where the obedience have gone to research. So that research they did, we would like a copy of it. What are the indices
group of researchers
that they used to find? What are the tools were used to find out
who were the group of researchers?
Station, and secondly, the station they found, please give us the name, the person they found, give us the data. Maybe we are wrong.
You
Maybe
think
a station.
Dr. Molly
So let us get
because there's a guy on our Twitter page saying Dr. Molly has put us in our place. One kiss it to somebody.
You know, some people don't
and I refer to that question so that another person will not be among their friends. Just mention that indicator has just, what she has done is actionable. There's a situation she took advantage of. She referred to it in innuendos and all of that. And she did not take it back. This one of clearly...
But giving her a benefit of a doubt, it's possible she was referring to a different research. Maybe we are the one assuming... No, we are assuming that is that post that she's referring to. It's possible she has more information than we do. There's a possibility.
Which group of researchers
paired those two pictures? That's what I'm saying, that we are thinking she's referencing the social media post. There's a possibility.
We know that
there's a possibility that there's another group she might be referring to. So let her bring it forward. Let us know, because we might be wrong. It might be a totally different...
Morale might be right.
Yes.
Just maybe.
Yes, just maybe.
Out of somewhere. Yes. Another Obiajulu somebody was carried. The way Naira Land even carried this was the one that I found most insulting, because for Naira Land to see the surname and still insist the person is linked.
And posted my
They wrote Obiajulu Ugboh, and they linked her to Obiajulu Uja. So they know, but they chose to be irresponsible. So let's just assume that she too, she must have seen another Obiajulu somewhere that this was talking about, whose picture was trending presently, whose result was the result of a research of a group of obedience that she knows about. Let's just assume that.
Yeah, and then, you know, in the spirit of objectivity and the spirit of your view, you know, I would like to give an advice. As Labour Party, you should have a difference between members of your party and people just on social media. And then, or not, then so would know how to address, you know, you. I feel that Mr. Obi himself is a man, you know, he's come this far. And as you said, you know, building on that legacy of what he has achieved so far, it's important that he separates himself from his true agenda and people who are capitalizing on differences right now.
Wrap up now, but I must use this opportunity to say that our colleague's husband is a respectable, dignified, responsible human being that could never be part of that kind of malicious setup of trying to hijack a plane. That's not who we are. That's all we can take on the show today. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.